Welcome to the Breathe Podcast. Here, we desire to help you access what's needed to live a healthy life in a world where one size doesn't fit all. Take a moment and join us in a conversation that can alter the way you live your life by changing the way you think so you can better your health.
Whose purpose is to support the whole person, the social, emotional, physical, mental, and most importantly, the spiritual you. We are here to influence positive change in our lives and the lives of our listeners. I am your host, Angela Davis Robertson, licensed professional counselor, and my co-host is
Dale Flowers, pastor of the New Sunlight Baptist Church in Baton Rouge and the Redwood Baptist Church in Zachary.
So, Pastor, welcome back.
It is good to be back. It's good to be back.
Missed you last week. It's
Yes,
good
ma'am.
to have you back here. Listen, we want you all to sit back and take a deep breath, release, relax, and enjoy this special space that has been created with you in mind. Today we're discussing having a healthier community. We have experts in the room, those who are from the community, who believe in the community, they work in the community, and understand programming that will benefit those in our communities. But before we delve deep into our topic, I'd like our guests to introduce themselves and give us a little background history and what you're currently up to.
Hi, I'm Daryl Blacher. I'm the Grants Administrator for the Mayor's Office of Community Development. I'm also the Project Director for an initiative that Growth Services has been involved in for the past 2 years, entitled Baton Rouge Advancing Health Literacy.
Perfect. Daryl, thank you for being here, Ms. Blanchard.
Okay, my name is Hillary G. Johnson. I'm an architect and contractor. My company is JHB Engineering and also J Hill Construction.
Okay, so Hillary, what we're going to do, because I talked about, and we talk about this every week, why we are here. But I first want to actually go to our pastor. I want to start off on the spiritual note today, if that's okay. And we're talking about healthier communities. What's your view on community through a biblical worldview?
Well, we see constantly God's concern is for community. When we see God, even in his writings, the Old Testament, it was written to the community of Israel. It wasn't written to one particular person, but it was written to the entire community. And his love for that community in such that he took them under his wings, held them close to his chest, and took care of them and loved them and nurtured them. And then we see in the New Testament, his concern is for the church, not one individual, but the entire church. Now, I know our preaching here in America is a lot of this individual, God's going to bless you and God takes care of you and you reach up and grab your blessing. But God's concerned about everyone. When we see Jesus and his walk up on this earth, he was touching people from every facet of life. The marginalized, the least of them, those who would consider themselves more important people, the upper crust of society, who are thrown away. Those are the ones that Jesus came to touch. Those are the ones that Jesus walked among because he was concerned about the community. Every aspect of a person's life, we see him healing physically, we see him healing mentally, and we see him touching people spiritually because that makes up the whole person. We look at the brother who was in the cemetery sleeping because he was just filled with demons. And the community was afraid of this brother because he was terrorizing. One brother terrorized the entire community. His family had given up on him. You know, mama, you can't live in this house anymore, boy, you got to go. Parents, friends, loved ones had given up on the brother. They tried to help him. The Bible says that they put him in chains, and the chains couldn't hold him. But finally, when Jesus showed up, he spoke to the young man, cast the demons out of him. Now, before Christ showed up, this community was in shambles. This community was in a horrible state because of this one individual. But when Jesus shows up, his concern is for the entire community. He touches this one young man, and now the whole community is made whole. Now this brother can become a part of the community and be a positive force in the community instead of this negative force that he was. So we see Christ being concerned about community. We see God being concerned about community. We know that when Jesus was wherever he was, scripture says he was in a house once, and there was enough power in him to heal everybody in the house, not one or two people.
Everybody.
And when he shows up in our churches, when he shows up in our communities, it's not about one or two of us. His concern is for the entire community.
All of us.
And that's what we have to be about as the church collectively and as individuals. Our concern has got to be about everyone that's at the table. If the person doesn't look like us, the person doesn't think like us, God's concern is kingdom everywhere. Kingdom, all of us being inclusive in it. So that's got to be our mindset as a church. It is what God calls us. It's the example that he sets for us. So it's what we must be about.
And it's that same God you talked about that happened, that was in that cemetery all those years ago. Is that same God?
Oh, certainly. He's the same. He's an immutable God.
Yeah.
He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So he doesn't change.
Yeah.
We need to change,
Yeah.
which
I
is
love
the
that.
problem today.
Because you expounded on it just wasn't that young man that he came for. It was when he came, he took care of the entire,
Yes.
it changed the entire community.
Yes.
And so that's what he wants for us today. Our whole community to be changed.
Correct.
Like you said, there's a blessing for you. No, he's here to bless all of us.
That's right.
And so when we can live the way you just talked about and bring God into the community,
Yes.
it's not just one household that's impacted.
Everyone.
We all
Everyone.
are impacted.
That's it. He wants to save everyone. He wants to bless everyone, but he does that through us.
Yes.
Our communities are in the shape that they're in oftentimes because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. You hear it on newscasts, you read it in the paper, you hear it from the police department. It's only one or two. It's a small segment of the community that's committing crime, small segment that's, wrecking all this havoc, but it affects the entire community.
Yes.
So let's touch that small segment, because once we touch that small segment, the entire community advances from that.
Well, the two of you have been listening. Thank you, Pastor Dale. That was extremely good. I'm so glad we started on a spiritual note, because that's where it all begins, right there. That's our source. So, Ms. Dara, how has building strong communities? Because that's been your work. Strong communities has been important in your own life.
Well, I pay attention to the types of projects that we fund in the mayor's office, whether it's community development, whether it's the mayor's Healthy City Initiative, whether it's Safe, Hopeful, Healthy, BR. And I know that there's a concerted effort to have purpose to bring about wholeness and change in this community, whether it's to impact mental health or a person's actual diagnosis of diabetes, or walking to improve heart health and the overall condition of a person, even to address trauma. I've been working in this arena for over 6 years now, and I can see the benefit of targeting individuals within the community. And I mentioned this before when I was on the program, that sometimes we don't look at, we can only see how trauma or stress impacts us. But in Baton Rouge, with all of the things that have been happening around the whole issue and topic of violence, it's communal trauma that focuses and surfaces familiar trauma in terms of impacting the whole family in one way or the other, and then individual trauma. Even when Kobe Bryant died unexpectedly, I'm sure some of us felt some kind of way.
Yes.
And now, with Matthew Perry, most of us followed him on Friends. It's like, we know that we all have an expiration date, but how we live oftentimes affects how long we're going to be here.
Correct.
Whether that's lack of exercising, whatever the case may be. So, to answer your question more specifically, I've seen the need to address health issues and to be more focused on our community from the hat that I wear as a city parish employee, but also speaking to what Reverend Flowers mentioned in terms of being vested in the community.
Yeah.
You know, I have several food boxes at home now, wondering who am I going to call to try to bless what family or what individual, because so often, while my role is to manage and administer a portfolio of grants, I receive and answer the phone for so many people who are distraught for one reason or another, are distressed or perplexed.
Yes.
Lack of food. One lady called about a year or so ago, pregnant, living in a car. She had 2 children. The children were able to stay with her sister, but she couldn't stay. So she's had to sleep in her car. Her due date was close. So I'm like, I couldn't say, ma'am, we don't help you directly. You need to hang up and call this number for emergency rental assistance. So I put on my God hat and my servant hat and made some phone calls, and we were able to get her a place to stay and
That's
pay
awesome.
3 months rent, and then even get her Pampers and food even before the baby arrived.
That's
So
awesome.
people don't see that, and when they
Yeah.
talk about, well, what is the mayor doing for the community, or what is the mayor doing for black folks? I mean, the mayor is working for all folks.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that we as public servants have various focuses throughout the building,
Yeah.
and I can't sit back and say, well, that's not my job.
But here, okay, and I thank God that you are there, and thank God that lady was able to connect with you. There have been people who've called places, and that's the answer they would get, that call this person or call this place. But then the person still, I was thinking about that coming home, the number of individuals that because I don't know, I'm like, I don't know what resource to point them to, right? When they're in that situation. And so when they call down somewhere, I can't even tell you where, what.
Right.
It's like they get the runarounds, like, but.
Well, you got to dig deeper, and you have to exercise patience in dealing with people. And my motto is, I treat people like I want to be treated.
Yes.
And I haven't evolved and come that far where I can't remember where I came from.
Yes.
South Baton Rouge, the bottom.
Yes, ma'am.
I know how it is to be in a situation to have lights cut off.
Yeah.
And, nobody to call on but Jesus.
Yeah.
So let's be clear.
Yeah, we can't forget that.
But the bottom line is that, I'm like, when people call me, I have to sometimes take a step back because, one lady called, her light bill was $885, and she had another 300 and something pennies, so a $1,200 bill. But then she had just gotten out of the hospital. So y'all tell me when it's a break, because I could talk now.
You keep going.
But the bottom line is, sometimes you have to say, okay, hold up. Because one lady, she was talking Jesus out of one mouth, but then she was saying, well, I can't believe I called this and called that. One lady called me, she had a bad attitude. I said, excuse me, miss, I don't do attitudes. Now you can decide if you want to hang up and call back when you can talk better, talk to me in a better tone, or you can tell me what you need. Let me try to help you. Say, well, I'm sorry, but you're the 14th person I done called. I said, well, God may let this 14th person be the very person to help you.
Correct.
And that's exactly what happened. So she called me back and apologized. But the bottom line is that sometimes we have to just listen.
Yes, that's the key.
To see what the need is. so that even if you can't provide the service, you could do information and referral. Because I have people coming from across the hallway coming to my door saying, I got this person on the phone, Daryl, what should I tell them? Who can help them?
Yeah.
So we're creating a resource director.
Correct.
Because Ms. Daryl can't keep it all in her head.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know it all. But from the paths that I've crossed and the people that I've dealt with, I can refer individuals to individuals.
Yes.
And they can pick up the phone
Yes.
and they can call.
It's where do we wonderful.
Or because of relationships,
Yes.
I can pick up the phone and say, hey, this man called me. He's sleeping in his car, but he has a job. He's working at Walmart, but he needs somewhere
How can
to
you support?
stay.
Yes. Well, for those listeners, the person who's listening may not be the individuals who are needing a place to stay, may not be the person who's needing the support with their light bill, but you may come across somebody that need that support. And
Yes.
so while we're talking, we're definitely going to get contact information for the individuals we're talking to, because you may run across someone, and just because you don't know what direction to send them in, there has to be we have to have a resource to send them in a direction to at least support them. I also want those individuals who may be listening who are needing support to know that you're not out there alone.
That's
you may
right.
feel alone, but just keep knocking. Every door you knock on may not be the one that's going to open and give the support. Just like you said, she said, I called 14 times, but she had gotten exasperated, right? But don't
That's
give
right.
up. But also you never know, that next one the door you knock on, that 14th door that you knock on, may be the door that you really need.
Yes.
And so make sure you come with the right spirit, as word, and
That's
right
right.
attitude.
That's right.
Mr. Hillary, I wanna go to you, because I want you to talk about, I know you grew up here. We talked about the bottom. And they always talk about the bottom here. The Panthers are always Let's talk about this area, the Scotlandville area, because I know this is where you grew up. I want you to talk about, how being in a strong community was important to you for your own life, having community help, during the times that you were coming up, and help the community holding accountability, those things that was flourishing in this area when you were growing up. Talk about that.
Okay, I'm a product of Scotlandville. I'm 70 years old, so I saw segregation and integration. Looked like when we integrate, got shot in a stick.
Talk to us about the
segregation time.
and the integration. Yeah, I want to hear
Okay,
more.
during segregation time, we actually, to show you how the community used to help. When I was younger, a young kid, my father actually worked at State Industrial School for Colored Youth. Okay, my mother was a teacher as well. She taught, my mother was from the area, the island Euros. She spoke fluently Creole, and a lot of people across the river, basically during that time, didn't speak English. So she had to teach them how to speak English, and quite a few people start moving this area. Back to State Industrial School for Colored Youth, where my father worked at. He taught carpentry work. And I did my thesis on that because I was actually brought up with, in that dealing with the system. What they did, you had a lot of kids that was roaming the streets, start back in the 40s. They left plantations, and they were just walking on the streets, and they like survival now. So they formed this particular school where they taught the 3R, reading, writing, arithmetic, a trade, and everyone had to go in the field and learn how to survive. That's what brought us out, everything, and prosperous in a matter of 10 to 20 years. Scotlandville, everything just started flourishing everywhere.
Where was this school?
It was up around Leland, Elson.
Okay.
And they had, I think almost 5,000 students. Girls were taught teaching, at the 4-H club. Everyone had to go in the field. Everyone had to know how to survive. Okay, that's what I think we need now today, immediately, to get kids off the street. They even had, did things like the foundation was economics showing you how you survive. You had education, 4-H club, also in understanding how to survive and eat. You had entertainment. Like one guy, basically, he's older than I, King Floyd. He was a famous singer. My dad basically raised him. Mm-hmm. He was walking the streets in New Orleans. And he ended up being a star, a singer.
Right.
A lot of different guys.
You know him there?
I've
Heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that period from the late 40s or the 50s brought a lot of people up. Now, you got to remember the first bus boycott, surviving everything started in Scholarville. They say Baton Rouge started in Scholarville. Scholarville had its own bus line.
Okay.
You in Scholarville, you can go from pre-K all the way to a doctoral program at Southern University. Southern Heights.
I think that can happen right now.
Sure it
But,
can.
I
yeah.
mean, we have pre-K in this area.
Right.
All the way to
Doctoral research program.
Yeah.
So it's still here. It's just that we don't actually focus on developing it, you know. So you take like, say for instance, like all Southern Heights. That was the first black subdivision in the United States. The second black subdivision in the United States is Pontchartrain Park in New Orleans. So let you know basically where Louisiana was. Blacks in Louisiana were the top of the world. So when I was in school.
And that was before Oklahoma?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, Scholarville and this area was free people of color. You got to remember the United States started in 1776, but actually started in 1780. But you had transaction, which my family did transaction in 1711. They didn't have a United States. And, actually Scholarville, they used to call it Jamaica Heights because the way they spoke language. And that's why they used to call Scholarville across the river free people of color because it wasn't slavery here. And when the first European came up the United States, up the river, which is DeSoto, and that was like 1540. Now, my grandparents used to sit down and talk to me about history. We're from the Ofa tribe. We're from the Tunica tribe, Tunica Hills, all that. So if we are able to teach our history, not the history that they put in here, you'll see a sense of pride that would change. That was the foundation of Scholarville. Okay. The first voting, they have Second Ward Voters League, First Ward Voters League. Actually, the first ones to start that was in Scholarville, but they, blacks always acknowledge and give respect to the elderly. And the First Ward Voters League was in Baton Rouge. But actually, the Second Ward Voters League was the people who came from World War II and helped develop that. I used to live on Gasser Street. We had a garage, and my mother used to teach people how to read and write, and this was the largest and the strongest voting box in the country for blacks.
Come on.
Yeah. They have actually history of blacks making a move or doing things. It started here.
How do you go from being the first, the largest, advocacy, boycotts, learning how to survive, building a community to lowest voter turnout?
When you have a lot of things that's dictate, look like the more we got into politics, the worse off we got. When we got segregated, just like pastors, we did everything out of the churches. Everybody was on the same accord. They got together, things were done. We didn't have to run down and get this done, approved. We depended on tax, even though we do pay taxes. Okay, so we should get money to assist us, but I think we need to deal and raise our families and kids like we know best. Before people who lived in segregation that know to both leave here, I think you need to tap on that knowledge right away. and start getting kids doing that. Let me show you something. We used to, in entertainment, when I say entertainment, we used to have talent shows, musicians. Mm-hmm. You were never bored. You didn't have a television and all that. We didn't look at television.
We even did that in our neighborhoods. Kids talk about, well, we were so bored, we'd get together in the neighborhood. Yep. We'd have a spring extravaganza.
Right.
And then our parents would prepare the refreshments and the food, or either we'd go around the neighborhood and do raffles so that we could get it. We were very creative.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking elementary school to just before high school.
That's
we were
right.
never bored.
And we have so much talent around here.
Right.
The musicians, the dancers, the singers. We have that. My husband and I were in New Orleans probably about a month ago, riding through. It was the City Park area, and we passed different corners, and there were people on their patio, just a little small group, and they had people on the sidewalk with their tents, and they were having a little concert. So when you said that, I'm like, that's what we saw in New Orleans just a month ago, and I thought that's something you can easily do.
Right. You start bringing back, and then now the kids feel more inclusive. You wouldn't have all this gang banging and a sense of life. Now, when you was in State Industrial School, the way they had it was State Industrial School for Colored Youth. The way it was set up, you had cottage life. So you had a dorm mother who could nurture you.
A dorm mother, okay.
That's right. You had a dorm father.
Okay.
And they taught you how to do everything. You had to pick a trade.
Well, we were so hungry for that, and we were respected individuals like a dorm mother or a male who would who was talking. We understood the respect behind that, but I don't see the hunger in our communities anymore. I'm not saying it's not there, but it was more.
We have to dictate that. We have to teach it. They tell us you can't do this, you can't do that. No, you don't tell us how to raise our. You know what I'm saying? You're like, if you could catch a whipping down the street. You got a whipping down the street.
You can't say boo to something.
Not anymore.
Yeah, and because you have kids having kids now, they need to be taught. They really not taught.
Yeah.
You go back to that.
I'm just, Pastor, you started off about the community and this one male in a graveyard who kind of changed the community because of what he was going through. They were frightened of him. So, and so it's no different than communities that we're living in where people are afraid of individuals not because of a mental condition, but because there are guns and there's other types of violence that happens. I'm afraid to say something to this person. But do you have a sense of that still can change?
Yes.
That we can bring community back?
Of course. And it is mental. It's mental. It's emotional. It's feeling unwanted, unloved.
Rejected.
Yeah, that's what we have. And it goes back to we adults, not the children.
Nope.
It bothers me when folks want to point at the children.
It's
because these kids, they're only doing what we allow them to get away with.
Yeah. Or what they haven't been embraced to,
Yeah. I mean, in the neighborhoods that most of us grew up in, our parents would not have allowed that.
No.
We allow it.
Yes.
We look the other way because, you can't say anything to these kids. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Say it to them. And now some of them, they'll cuss you out. I've had that. I've had an incident where I corrected a child. High school kid walked down the street, corrected him, and he cussed me out. And when he got his mom, and she cussed me out too. So
to the club.
But I didn't give up. That next time that kid walked past my house, guess what? Whatever he was doing before he got to me,
didn't do it anymore.
He stopped doing it.
Yeah.
So we have to.
That was an
address
impact.
it. Yeah. We have to. The church, the community. Listen to Mrs. Blanchard talking about walking across the hall. Well, there are community there within the mayor's office that's working together. Mm-hmm. So we got community within community that are working together, and then that begins to what I want to say, trickle out or
Yeah.
permeate out, into the larger community. So everybody has to do their
Yeah.
part.
All is not lost.
Of course
No.
not.
It's
Of
not.
course not.
When we
Yes.
can't give up,
course
it
not.
has to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
you also have to stay connected to something.
Yes.
Your church, your family, your friends, some
Yes.
kind of base, because everybody's not necessarily as strong as it varies from person to person.
Yes.
But to me, and I'm taking off my city parish hat for a minute, but when you allow Satan to get you by yourself, and you're already at a mid-level point, then you keep, you hear all kind of things, you feel all kind of things about yourself.
Yes.
So you have to stay, to me, connected
That's a must.
to something or somebody.
That's bigger than
I
you.
could look at you, Reverend Flowers. I don't know what you went through years ago. You could look at me. You don't know what I'm going
Yes.
through now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the thing about it is that, some of the callers, I tell them, I said, well, I got a brother dealing with this. I got a mother dealing with that.
Yes.
I
Yes.
leave and go take him to his medical appointments. My sister, I come back, I do my work, I stay late, I
That's
have to
it.
get refreshed and still get back
Do it
up.
again.
That's
I
right.
got to encourage myself.
That's right.
But sometimes we need more than ourselves.
Yes.
But we have to be in the frame of mind that it's okay to tell somebody, look, I'm feeling
Yes.
some kind of way.
Yes.
I'm not okay today. And even if somebody says something, I got classmates, we're planning our 50-year reunion. Get over it. Whatever
Yes.
somebody did you in
Yes.
high school,
Yes.
you're grown now.
It
is
And
sad.
if you walk around with this, I heard somebody minister one time, you have a Band-Aid here and a Band-Aid there. You're full of wounds and Band-Aids. So you
Yes.
got to learn how to let it go.
Yes.
But the bottom line is that, our health, whether it's mental health, physical health, I'm learning day to day, it's more important
Yes.
than
is.
anything. And somebody say, oh, well, you do this and you do that, you're going to die anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we got to
Yeah.
prioritize.
Yes.
I want to have the best life I can have until that day comes.
Yes.
Wonder over here.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is what we're going to do. This is a great conversation. We're going to go on our 2-minute break and come back to what. So give us about 2 minutes and we'll be back. Thanks for listening.
Good day. I'm Dale Flowers, pastor of the Redwood Baptist Church, located at 20912 Macos Road here in Zachary. And on behalf of the Redwood family, I want to invite you to join us for worship this Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Redwood is a church where the love is felt, the praise is authentic, and faith is strengthened. So please come and be our guest. We're looking forward to seeing you. God bless.
I'm growing socially, I'm growing emotionally, and I'm growing mentally. I'm strengthening myself through having healthy relationships, finding healthy outlets that causes positive impacts in my life. Each individual life, in the life of our program, in the life of the individuals we serve. Hello and welcome back to the Breed Podcast, an outreach whose purpose is to support the whole person, the social, emotional, physical, mental, and most importantly, the spiritual you. Today we are talking about having a healthier community, and we have our experts here, Ms. Dara Bletcher, who's with the mayor's office, and Mr. Hillary, I'm sorry, what's your last name? Johnson, an expert in, well, he's an architecture and a expert in history of really Scotland. You got some good history, brother. We have some great history. So we have a history lesson. I did want to shout out. We had some people who said who they were from on the podcast. They're asking. It was Opelousas and Plaisance. Are they like right next to each other?
Yes.
Okay.
Same here.
You have some history on Opelousas too.
Yeah, I have family in Opelousas,
Okay.
The Celestines.
Okay, so don't
Baptiste.
play. They might know you, Mr. Hillary. Listen, we are talking now about healthier communities, and we've gotten some really, really good information from both of you. I want to talk about just our schools, the schools and the supports that we can give to administrators and teachers who. We talked about being, maybe you said you were cursed out, I think you said. You
Yes,
had some words. And our teachers are
Some
administrators,
adjectives and some adverbs.
are dealing with students who are coming into the building, just like the parent you encountered just at home. So
Yes.
That's happening at our schools. And it's like, geez, it's not their fault that they're coming that way, but we have to deal with them every day, and that gets really, really hard. It's like, okay, so how can we have our administrators, our teachers, try and help or establish those relationships with our families so they can know where they can go and get some support from, whether it's they're stressed out because of whatever. We don't know, but having different things in the building where administrators can send out to their parents about supports, whether it's social emotional support, whether it's light bill support, whether it's food support. Maybe they can put some things out just to help the families, to let the families know that they are really there for them. They cannot educate the child coming to the school with that type of demeanor or attitude. And the educators have done so much. They've gone to school they're in there because they really want to teach the kids.
Right.
So it's like you have a heart for teaching, but if you don't have the person on the other side helping and supporting you in what you're doing, and that kid can come back and tell you tell you what they're, then it's like we're fighting against each other and we cannot, it's hard to teach the kids. So I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that or.
Yeah, I started school. I was asking my mother why she sent me through all this. She had me 3 years of Catholic school. And when they said, someone beat the hell out of you, that was a nun.
Say it again.
So, but what they used to do, I did 3 years of Catholic school, 4 years of public, and 5 years of private school. In the Catholic school, and I was wondering why I started off, there's a certain foundation that she wanted and that was definitely dealing with, the Bible scriptures. So, I mean, you took that completely out the schools now. See, that's a problem right there. They don't have a sense of fear or nothing. But then one thing in the Catholic school, they used to have the girls on one side, the boys on the other side in the same class. And down the middle, you have the nun used to walk between that. Boys stayed focused, girls stayed focused. You had a girls' yard, you had a boys' yard. Boys did things like that. Now, let me tell you, right now we have more females in the home. Boys don't know how to be men. I think if we just say, now we have to just do something drastic. Let's just take and have all boys go to one school or one area and all girls go to this area because they don't know how to be men. The problem is with the boys, man. Well, the girls have problems too, because they don't see a man that they can respect. Back in the day,
we're like kind of we don't want to generalize it, but we see more of that.
Yeah, but it's a drastic change that we have to do now. It really gotten too far because, like I say, I'm 70 years old and I've seen changes. So what's the solution?
Yeah. Well, I do. When you say boys on one side, girls on the other, I was just thinking as a high school principal, I realized that my boys would get so distracted when the girls were in the classroom. Of course, you have these beautiful young ladies coming in, and then the girls would get distracted.
Right.
And so what I did was I literally held the class at the same time, but it was all girls and all boys class because the boys will be so much more engaged when the girls weren't there, and same thing for them. And it really worked. I had a smaller high school, but it worked.
It can work. It can
and that
work
was only like 7 years ago, so that it does work.
That's the drastic change that I think we need to do immediately. Now, you have to bring in like entertainment, the speech, drama, teaching, singing, all
to
those
engage.
Right.
And they had it. You're right.
We had all that. You remember, back in the day, we used to have all those different things. We had talent shows every weekend.
Well, and kids love to show their talent.
Right.
Yeah, we're talking about that, but that's our future. And if we don't do something now, if we don't do something drastic, we are gonna have to deal with it.
We're dealing with it now.
We are, but we're able to move around and do things. It's gonna be a time where we are not as mobile, and you're looking for, you're needing support, and you don't have the empathy, you don't have the know-how, all those things you don't have because we have so many of our babies who are not getting the academics that they're needing, not getting the foundation that they're needing, not getting the culturalization of having empathy, caring for others, what family look like, what neighbors look like. Those things are kind of almost non-existent. So I think it's important that, again, something drastic does happen when we were able to institute that.
Yeah, we, just like in first grade, we used to have like 4-H club. How to grow. You had feeling for animals. If you deal with just animals, that'll learn you a sense of caring. You don't have that. That nothing. They can't develop nurturing. They don't care. See, that's the problem of what we have. We out of touch with feelings.
I wonder if some of the schools have how many of the schools have like 4-H?
None.
I think they can get connected through the LSU Ag Extension Service or Southern University.
Yes.
Okay.
And so both of them provide those. You got to just do a little research and see if they serve your area. Tell them you're interested. But I wanted to bring up a point too. Even with 4-H, 4-H has individuals who will go into the home and offer certain programs and services. But also, each school has either a family navigator, a family advocate, or someone who can work between that teacher and that family. The
parent liaison is what they were called.
Okay, and the guidance counselor can't do it all. No. But even with the teachers, self-care is available. It may be within limits, but it is available. Point in case, even with the kids, Safe, Hopeful, Healthy BR provides contractor services through school-based clinics and other interventions. And that's just one example. And of course, we did it in terms of mental health training for practitioners, social workers, teachers, even information on opioid abuse and distribution of Narcan.
Okay.
But the thing is that when a person may call Capital Area United Way 211 for services, they're going to give them what they have. And the Office of Community Development funds in part a portion of their resources and funding. But I think what we could do is try to reach out to those entities that people are going to call, like the Salvation Army, 211, St. Vincent de Paul, and share the information that we're aware of so that individuals, whether it's youth or families or teachers or individuals in general, they can reach out to other individuals and be able to take advantage of some of those program offerings.
So I know that the Salvation Army and the ones that you named are ones people go directly to. The 211, that is the city number?
No, that's the call number for Capital Area United Way.
Okay.
And they will list those various resources.
Okay. So it's 211, whoever's listening and you need that or you know someone, call there, and at least that's a one stop. We can get all the resources that are available, or get a list of resources that are available.
And they have a community resource directory as well. I think they used to charge $29 or something like that. So even if teachers or principals at different schools want to purchase that, they can start there, and then you'll know whoever to reach out to. But we've been trying to consider, we're working with the mayor's office because she created a position, constituent services, and people can call that individual to be connected with local resources as well. But what we're doing in the building is trying to bring together individuals who may have a lot of community contact to let people know what they can do. And even with Braille, with the Advancing Health Literacy Grant, what we tried to do was list doctors who will serve people of color, also different services that
with
were
Medicaid.
available. That's right. And see, because that's another challenge. You may need a dentist, but everybody won't accept Medicaid.
No.
Or you may have to drive to clinic.
Let me ask you this, when you say Medicaid, because there are so many practitioners, whether doctors, mental health counselors, whoever, social workers, will not, they want private pay. Because of the amount of pay from Medicaid. Let me just put it out there, because of the amount of pay from Medicaid.
Excuse me.
Is that, how do we kind of advocate for that? Is that something we go to the legislator about how little Medicaid pays to practitioners? Just thinking about that.
It would take a concerted effort of conglomerate of people to make a heavy
noise,
impact.
huh?
But
Yeah.
yes, you can start. I wouldn't suggest one person would go to that legislature. I would take a team of people with me if I could, to advocate on
like
behalf
your association
of the issue, yes, or whatever. But there are clinics out there that they don't charge at all in terms of if you need medical services. So we have to seek those out as well. Or when we call Medicaid or whomever. But a lot of seniors don't know that there's a line that's through the Department of Insurance called SHIP, Senior Health Insurance Information Program. Even with Medicare, they'll walk you through your options.
Yes.
And even nursing homes. The Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs has an ombudsman program.
It's available.
Now, they can't tell you which nursing home to choose, but they can sure tell you which ones to stay away from, with the scores.
Okay.
So that'll help you conduct some legwork.
Okay.
So you just have to sit down and say, okay, what is it that I need?
And it's a lot of work. So it's not. Let me say that it's not like it's easy. We're used to everything being a microwave, right?
Yes.
Quick.
Yes.
But you got to be knowing when you sit down, it's not going to be just a quick fix. I'm not going to call and then get what I need. Call.
Right.
You got to dig through some things and be ready to be patiently waiting to patiently giving your time and efforts into this.
And that's the right question. Last point I want to make around this whole issue of just accessing resources. When people call our office and I just happen to answer the phone because it rolls around to different lines. What I try to do is, people will call and they'll go on and on and on and on and on. And I said, excuse me. I said, let me share something with you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, when you call an agency, always have pen and paper
Yes.
ready.
Yes.
I said, and get to the point. Be
Yes.
as concise as you can be.
That's good. You're training them. You're kind of teaching them how to walk them through the process.
I said, I'm not making these comments to offend you, and please don't think I'm talking down to you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Wanna
help you.
Yes.
Because first of all, if you call a certain agency and you go on and on and on, some people get annoyed, they get agitated, and they ready to get you off the phone.
Yes.
So you want to say, my name is Mary Smith. I need assistance with my roof, or I need help getting dentures, or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
Do y'all do that, or can you tell me who could help?
Yes. Yes.
You
Get to the
know,
point.
instead of saying, anyway, I don't have to give you an example.
Yes,
But,
ma'am.
and then for instance, an example, one lady we were trying to help, and she kept sending these emails back and forth, and I'm like, they're going to help you. Trust me. If I referred you to them,
Yes.
It's going to
to
happen.
help
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
I
patient.
said, please stop sending these emails and frustrating people and distracting them. You're going to get
Yes.
the help.
That's
Patient.
good.
So anyway,
That's
I'm done.
good. No, I appreciate that. I want to. I don't know. We only have like 4 to 5 minutes left. Hillary, is there anything else you wanted to share regarding what we're talking about, healthy communities, or?
One thing, going back, the church was really instrumental in the survival and how things were dictated. I think if they have 501c3 and we take a survey of what's needed in the community, we need to deal with it with the church, and the church can house. You could get money for the facilitate these
Yes.
people, because I used to design facilities near churches. Now, most of your Catholic churches, that's what they do. A lot of your large churches, that's what they do. So I think what we need to do is get the churches involved where they can bring in other agencies there.
And a lot of churches have what they call social service ministries,
Right.
or medical ministries.
So if we did that, because you have the facility, like when we were coming up, the church looked like everyday people's in the church all day, every day. And the building don't need any rest.
Yes.
Just clean it.
Yes. Yes.
Just a little,
Yes.
just clean up. So I think what we need to focus on those institutions, the churches, and let the church, because the church will be the place that we start.
Correct.
I love that you said that, because we can end it with this discipleship.
Yes.
On the
Yes.
discipleship question,
Yes.
the ability to equip someone to grow, right, in their
Correct.
personal relationship with the Lord while walking and doing life with
Correct.
them, right? So let's talk about how we practice in discipleship, and what does that look like. I'm gonna let you kind of close us out with that one.
And the church has to, not even with the 501c, but the church back then didn't have 501c.
Exactly.
But
Didn't know
the
what it
same thing
was.
they had then that they have now is people who should be willing to give. So without a 501c, the church should still be offering services, that which they can, should still. We've got a lot of churches now who are feeding the community, but it's not just about feeding folk. It's about meeting them where they are so you
Yes.
can help them so they no longer need this service. Then they can help feed others.
Right.
So the church has just got to come together and do the work. 501c or not. Do
Yeah.
the work that we were sent to do. When Christ sent us into the world, he made it plain that the church is the seat of power, where he says the very gates of hell won't prevail against you.
it, yes.
He says to the church, whatever you bind on earth has already been bound in heaven. Whatever you release in the earth has already been released in heaven. So it's good to have all these other services, which I think is another thing when we talk about community and where we fell short. The church took a back seat to these other organizations and avenues. And that's great that we have these other organizations and avenues, but the church has got to be involved. The church has got to be, for we believers anyway,
Yes.
the church has got to step up and be who God has called us to be, which is the light of the world.
I want to just piggyback off of something both of you gentlemen just said. I think, given your point and yours, that, the churches are filled with talent, just like the graveyard.
Yes,
Yards
yes.
are. But the thing is, we're among the living. A lot of us, I think you mentioned something about a survey. If you survey your people to see who has this talent or that background, that education, these connections, that connection, hobbies even. Some people turn hobbies into businesses.
Yes,
That's right.
But
That's
the bottom line is, if you survey your people, then you know how to connect them to, people to community resources or each other. And so if we begin with, well, who's in the house? And what do they bring to the table?
Yes.
That can really help us reach so many
That's
more people.
even more people. That's
Use
like
your
you have
gifts and
talent.
talents.
Yeah, you have talents and people who have all these gifts and skills, and they're sitting right there, and nobody knows. Nobody knows.
We
It's like,
don't ask.
yeah, because we haven't asked. So it's been a joy speaking to the two of you, and Pastor, thank you so much. You always have such great wisdom, such great knowledge from a biblical standpoint. That's reality, brings into the focus of what we really should be doing. You have so much history. You're full of history, Mr. Hillary. Thank you so much. Ms. Darrell, you're always great. You have all the, this is the lady of resources for sure. And you as well, Hillary, I know you are. So what I want you to do is give the contact information, or whatever you want people to kind of know how to get in contact with those resources again before we leave.
All right. The person who handles constituent services in the mayor's office is Kiara Robinson, and you all can reach Ms. Robinson at 225-389-3100. That's 225-389-3100. As for the Office of Community Development and the various programs that we offer, our number is 225-389-3039, and you'll be prompted to dial an extension, but the receptionist extension is 3028. So that's 389-3039, extension 3028.
Thank you, Ms. Darrell. Mr. Hillary, is there any way people can get in contact with you, or?
Yes, my telephone number, area code 225-806-5324. Actually, engineering, you can't advertise.
Okay.
But you're not supposed to advertise. But we doing construction as well.
Okay.
And we're gonna focus on affordable.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And Pastor Dale, let them know where they can come and worship with us.
Of course, Redwood every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. And that's in Zachary in Baton Rouge at New Sunlight at 10 a.m. We're there every Sunday. We'd love to have you guys come and worship with us. You can contact me via email at daleflwrs11@gmail.com.
Thank you again for being with us. We appreciate you guys. Know that we are genuine and we are here to help change the community.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you again for listening to the Breathe Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Growth Services of LA so you never miss an episode, or if you want to hear it again. If you would like to learn more about what we do, visit our website at www.growthala.org or give us a call at 225-300-4943. Join us next time so you can alter the way you live your life, Change the way you think and better your health.